Hey there, and welcome to day 4 of the March Through the Madness 7-Day Reset Challenge, brought to you by Rewire, Renew, Inspire, Coaching and Consulting, LLC. I am your host and coach, Nicole Vachon Dean. I am so excited. If you are here with me on day 4, you are serious about taking care of yourself and getting this reset complete, baby. You're like, listen, Linda, I am ready to get reset. No, my name is not Linda. I'll tell you about it later. So I'm Nicole Vachon. Now, listen, I'm so excited that you're here for day 4. If you just happen to start on this video, you just came across your feed and you're like, day 4 of what? This is a 7-day reset challenge meant to help you take a moment to step back, clear the clutter of your mind, and go from overwhelm to clarity. And I'm here as your accountability partner. I'm here to give you insight and reflection tools that are designed to get you that far. Now, there are actually 3 other days. Day 1, 2, and 3 are available on my YouTube channel. So just hit subscribe and you are locked in and you can go back and watch the other videos. And you can hang out today because I'm going to do a recap, but you can go back and watch those videos at your leisure. If you've been with me from day 1 and this is your real day 4, I'm so proud of you for taking the time and taking the commitment to move through. If you did day 1, 2, and 3, and you took a little break and now you're back, that's okay too. You're going to reset at your own pace. But the fact that you are taking a moment and taking a beat for yourself because you know that you need this is really the beginning of the step, which is why you'll notice that it's taking steps through the madness once you're in day 4. Day 3 and 4 are taking steps through because you already got going, right? But the goal for us today is just to recap a little bit and then move forward on our topic of today, which is boundaries. I gave you a heads up last time. And so I want to make sure that you hang around because our topic today is boundaries. But before we get started, we like to take a moment to retreat. So this is your time, if you haven't already started doing it, to just close that door, either open or close those blinds, get rid of all your distractions, put your phone on vibrate, get some water, get some tea, get some coffee, get a snack, whatever you feel like you're going to need to be comfortable. Maybe put on a nice jacket or a blanket, or don't fall asleep. Or put on a sweater, something to help you chill in your retreat moment. But during this time, I just want to encourage you to take a deep breath and exhale just to relax your body and get ready for this moment. And then take out your notepad. Make sure you got a notepad. Make sure you got a pen, Post-its, whatever is what you use to track notes. But I encourage you to take notes. This is not something that you can just say, I'll watch it and try to remember the questions and answer them in my head. This takes some work. If you're serious about a reset, you have to reset. And you need to sit down so that you can reset. Okay. So get that notebook, get that pen, pad, whatever you normally take notes on. Be ready to do that. Also, I would love for you to revisit wherever you've been keeping your gratitude practice, or you've been putting your gratitude statements. And we are going to do 4 statements of gratitude, 4 things you are grateful for. So day 1 was just 1. Day 2, you had 2 things. Day 3, 3 things. And today is 4. Ideally, you're not just adding to the list. I would love for you to have 4 new things. But if that's not what you're doing, that's okay. I just want you to have some gratitude happening over there. So take that moment. Get comfortable in the silence. Write down 4 things you're grateful for. And once you get to the end of that list, write an affirmation for yourself, something positive about you, something about you as a person, who you are, what you be. All right? I am becoming, I am strong, I am smart, I am capable, I am patient, I am strong. What is it? Write that affirmation down. The more positive things you say about yourself, the better. And the gratitude helps you also be reflective of the things that are great about you, as well as the things that might be great about people that are in your life. And lastly, I just want to encourage you to take yet one last beat before we get started to just be still. And take that breath. I like when it's quiet. I like to take moments. I used to say sitting in the silence. I used to do it all the time. And I remember a friend of mine says, that sounds sad. But it wasn't. It was like the best part of the day when, the world has changed where everyone used to come home from work, but now we're virtual and this and that. But when I used to be at an office and I would walk into my home and it was just quiet, I would always take that beat to just sit in the silence before I turned on the TV, right? Anything, just quiet. And yeah, our minds are busy, but they're busy because we just got way too much going on. So, recapping our days prior, day one, we started with awareness. When we're resetting, we want to be aware of why is there a need to reset? What are we dealing with that requires us to take a step back? What are we clearing the clutter from? What type of clutter is in our head that we're clearing up? And what are we overwhelmed about? The other day, I had you fill in the blank because your emotion or your reason for being here may not be overwhelm. It could be anything else. It could just be stress, pressure, competition, anything. But fill in the blank of the emotional connection you have to the word needing, the word reset that you may need. We talked about awareness and knowing where you've come from and where you're trying to go and how all that comes together. And then we also spoke about priorities and what is your intention? What is your why for the things that you have on your priority list? What is the why for the goals that you have? Why is you have a goal and nothing related to that goal is on your priority list? Why? Or if everything on your list is just about, goals and finances and there's nothing about family, why? Just get really clear on what your priorities are and why your priority list looks the way it does. So at this point, you should have a total of 10 priorities that you have listed. Day three, we talked about energy and mental and physical energy. So obviously just mentally taxed or physically taxed or, is it great energy and you're energized and you're excited and your body feels great because you work out every day? That's awesome because it doesn't have to be negative, by the way. It's just energy. But we also talked about the energy that you exude. And we spoke about the statement from John Maxwell that indicated that people do what people see and that we attract what we are. That was day three. And so when you left on day three, I asked you to revisit your original priorities that you set on day two and determine areas in your life that you need to be healthier. We talked about the 7 dimensions of wellness. And in those 7 dimensions, where do you need to be doing better? And is there anything negative, any habits or things that you're doing that are negatively impacting your health in those particular areas? And then lastly, from day three, it was, does the energy or what people see in you help them or hurt them? And you could also flip that and say, is my energy helping me or hurting me? But ultimately, that whole idea of people do what they see, what are they seeing in you that impacts them, that may cause them to then, or you then to attract what you are. And we talked about that mirror that you'll be seeing on the outside. So it can be a great positive mirror, what you mirror, people mirror back, what you attract. But if you find you're starting to attract a lot of specific things, busyness, negativity, bad health, whatever it might be, if there's a lot of attracting of that, then take another look. So, and then reset those priorities. So that's where we were on day three. Lastly, the 7 dimensions of wellness. So your 7 areas were spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, environmental, social, and occupational. These are the areas that you can look at to see where you're doing really well, or are there things within each that you're doing good and not so good. You need to take that time to take a look at it. Okay, so that brings us to our topic for today, which is or are boundaries! Exclamation point. Jumping right in. I was going to say something, but I'm just going to jump right in. Our challenge statement for today comes from Valerie Burton. She is an author, speaker, coach, and she is the founder of the CAP Institute, which is the positive psychology approach to coaching. And again, I'm a student of Valerie as well. And Valerie says, setting boundaries is an act of self-love. Did you know that? Setting boundaries is an act of self-love. How can that be true? Well, the idea of setting a boundary has to do with what you will allow to come into your space, what you consider okay in your world. So whether it's what people do or what people say or what people demand of you or how they talk to you or what they assume, the actions that they take, that has to do with the boundaries that you've set of what is okay for you from others. Okay? That is what a boundary line is. Now, some people say, limitations. Well, limits have to do with you outward. Like, I'm reaching my limit, right? So if you're reaching your limit of patience, it's because you haven't set your boundary. Not absolute, but it's an example, right? If you're reaching this, I'm reaching my limit of patience, losing my patience here. Why? Did you not set an appropriate boundary so that people can't try your patience, right? So everything's going to have, a little give because people are just people and we have moments where we're just tired or hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and sometimes people will get through. But as a general rule, boundaries have to do with what is not okay or what is okay from others into our world, our space, our mental, our physical, all the dimensions, right? So that's our challenge statement. So do you have boundaries? Have you even thought about boundaries? That is just too far. That is just too much. Well, you never told me that before. Do people know what your boundary is? What is not okay for you? Have you ever just, and it's not even like you always have to say it, but people will just kind of know. Oh, don't talk to Nicole about this, or don't ask her about that. You're stepping over a boundary if you do that. Or when people get in your personal space. I remember specifically being at a gym one time and somebody wanted to speak to me, but they came towards me and I put my hand down. I was like, you can step on the other side and still have a conversation with me. Boundaries. Okay, let's keep it going. So let's take a look at our questions. How do you feel when you put yourself first? How does it make you feel when you put yourself first? Now, some people are going to be like, doesn't everyone put themselves first? Not necessarily. So how does it make you feel? Oh, I would never put myself first. Everyone else is so much more important than me. I'm a giver. I'm a server. I empathize. I'm a empath. I'm this. That's fantastic. But how do you feel when you put yourself first? How does it make you feel? So does it make you feel like, you're being selfish? Does it make you feel like it's what you deserve? How do you personally feel when you say, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to come. I need to cancel. I don't like to eat there. I don't want to go there. I don't like those kind of movies. Like you put yourself first, right? How does that make you feel? Because that tells you a lot about your boundary and whether it even exists. Because if you're very comfortable putting yourself first, considering yourself first at least, then that means you do have some level of boundaries that you've set for yourself. Let's make the distinction between putting yourself first and being selfish or self-centered or only thinking of yourself. That is not what I'm talking about right now. When you put yourself first, knowing whether this is good for you, bad for you, not good for your mental, not good for your physical, right? Do you have to, unfriend some people on social media? Do you need to just get off social media? Like, what happens when you put yourself first? So we linger in here because this leads into everything else. How do you feel when you put yourself first? What have you allowed from others that has resulted in negative internal feelings or external reactions from you? Energy. See the connection? Not making all this up. It all goes together. What have you allowed from other people that has resulted in negative internal feelings about how you feel about you, or you have external reactions that are negative? So when you're not authentic with your responses to people, then the only person that loses out is you. So if you don't want to hurt other people's feelings, what that typically would then mean is you hurt your own feelings internally. I don't want to hurt her feelings, right? So the external reaction goes more to, I'm at my limit. I'm at my limit. I've been patient. And no one seems to care about me. And no one's looking out for me. And no one said thank you. And no one said please. Boom. And then you just blow up at a little kid that says, ma'am, don't call me ma'am. I'm not an old woman. So negative internal feelings versus external reactions from you. What have you allowed to create that? What energy have you allowed in that causes you to put that energy out? Think about that. That's probably loaded. That probably takes a little while to answer, right? But make sure you think about that after we leave here today. And then lastly, how can you lovingly communicate your negative feelings or attitude by setting the boundary? How can you lovingly communicate your negative feelings or attitude? So what does that mean? So that means that if you have a negative feeling or a negative attitude towards something that is happening or infringing upon your boundary, how can you lovingly communicate and set the boundary? Because there is a way to do that. See, everyone thinks it's either all or nothing. So, if I'm gonna set the boundary, or if I'm resetting myself, or I'm getting my life back, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting my mojo, I'm getting bold, means you got to be, disrespectful and inconsiderate and loud or cuss people out. Or no, 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 no. Okay. How can you lovingly communicate your negative feelings or attitude? How do you set the boundary? Well, there's a few ways. Now, it's good a lot of times to get very clear on what the issue is, because if you've let something get up to here, you're going to need some time to go through these questions and be very specific so that when you have a conversation with someone or a group of people, that you're very clear on what the issue is, what's not okay, and what is okay, and then how you communicate that to someone else. Now, this might be a deeper dive that I won't be able to potentially get to effectively, but I will do a very high level generalization of how you can lovingly communicate negative feelings. I went through a year of yes, where I said yes to everything to build my fitness business. So I was like, the only way people are going to know I'm good at this is if I just say yes to everybody, and then I show up. So I do, group fitness classes. I'm personal training everybody, going to special events and health fairs, and I'm just go, 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 go. Yes, 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 yes. And then I got extremely tired, and I was like, this is really not going to work well if I keep doing this. So eventually I had to adjust. And one of the adjustments I made was I don't work on Fridays, because I literally was working every other day, maybe with the exception of Sunday because I would go to church. But I don't work on Fridays. Okay. Boundary. Boom, boom, bam. All right. Now I did learn this from Valerie Burton as it related to just how they taught us how to be coaches and run our businesses and everything. But I applied this principle here. And what it was is, once I decided I didn't work on Fridays, if someone contacted me and wanted me to do an event or a class or something on a Friday, here's what I did. I would say, I typically do not work on Fridays. That's the boundary. That gave me freedom to let them know whether I would do the event or whether I would not do the event. The boundary is I don't work on Fridays. I now have the freedom to decide, well, this particular Friday, I'm not doing anything. I'll go ahead and do it. Or I've never worked with this group before. I'll go ahead and introduce my skill set and my services to them so they might be interested in utilizing me next time. But then I would add at the end, if I said yes, I would say, I'll go ahead and do it for this date, but just be mindful that I typically don't work on Friday. So it's not a guarantee that if we work together again, that I could do a Friday. Boundary, boom, bam, freedom, flexibility, do what is it. So me, now they know they're good. Or I'm sorry, I don't work on Fridays, but what I can do is a Saturday morning. Sorry, I don't work on Fridays. What I can do is a Thursday evening. Boundaries. All right, action item. Are you pondering, marinating? Your day 4 call to action. Reflect on today's session and list. I want you to identify what you know needs a no, because no is the new no. Because when you know your purpose, and when you know your boundaries, and when you know what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, when you know what's okay and what's not okay, you can say no comfortably. So identify what you do know needs a no. Got it? All right. What is not okay? And then what is the boundary based on what is not okay? So you identify what's not okay. That is your new no. And then what is the boundary you're setting? What's the verbalization of the boundary that you need to say to somebody or physically show? It can be, they're not to be passive aggressive, but sometimes your behavior can show people what your boundary is. Like when I push the person away, right? And why is that the boundary? Be specific. The boundary is people cannot interrupt me when I speak. You set the boundary. I was speaking, right? What is the boundary? Right? So get clear on that. I'm not going to go, I could be here all day for boundaries because it's just a great topic. But understanding your boundaries really lends itself to awareness, setting your priorities, understanding energy, what you allow in, what you want to put out, what your mental and physical energy is, and how it gets impacted by the boundaries if they get stepped over or not respected, or if you don't have any at all, right? So think about how you feel when you put yourself first. This is an opportunity to put yourself first and see the benefits of putting yourself first with boundaries so that you can have success in all the other areas. Okay? How you feeling? Day 4. Exciting, right? Okay. So we are wrapping up day 4. I wish you a wonderful, fantastic day. You may don't hit end just yet, because I just want to let you know that day 5 is going to be about focus. What'd you say? Focus. When you come back on day 5, we are going to talk about focus. I hope you are enjoying our time together. I hope you're finding it beneficial, and definitely take the time to answer the questions and look through your notes and begin to do the work that needs to be done so that by day 7, you have a successful plan for your reset, or maybe you're already there. All right. Fantastic day. Great work. Tell someone else about this challenge. Days 1, 2, and 3 are out there on my page. Remember to subscribe, check out rewirerenewinspire.com, and I will see you on day 5 so we can talk about focus. Bye, everybody.